One of the things that concerns me is with this whole COVID situation, it's really created a very polarizing um, situation. And here in Idaho Falls, we pride ourselves on being a small town community, of taking care of our neighbors, of supporting, and of not being, the same as all these other, big cities, that you can have that personal attention, and that, the people that you're walking, standing next to at the grocery store, because the community just isn't that big. And so right now I see a lot of polarization between people who think this is how the community should handle it and how they should support it, and people who don't. And to me, that the animosity between the two sides is something that's very concerning to me. And this has been going on for, we're approaching 8-9 months, and it's really taken its toll on us as individuals here in Idaho Falls, because you realize that your neighbor that you may really like, you're on very different sides of this issue, and you both feel very, very passionately about it. So I think that's been one interesting change that we've seen over the last, over the last 6 or 8 months, but it's something that's very, very current. And Barbara, I don't know if you'd kind of agree with that, but it's been really, to me, it's been kind of tragic to see how people have treated each other as they have found that they're on different sides of that issue.
100%.
Yeah. It's been unfortunate.
And because of the level of passion that they have, they feel like they're justified in treating people who don't agree with them in a very unkind way. And that is not Idaho Falls. That's not how we usually treat each other. In Idaho Falls, we're the type of people that when you're driving, you turn your blinker on. It's not a race to close the gap. It's an immediate, come on in. How can we try to be so kind and accommodating as people, and it shows in so many different ways. So it's been hard to see that happen to our community, because, sorry, the dog's just coming up. It's something that, we love where we live, and that's one of the important reasons of why we live here. We like feeling like we know one another, we can trust one another, whether or not you know each other. And so I think, that's a huge issue. And I think, then you've got the economics and some of the other things that go along with that, and add additional pressure and additional focus for some people into why they feel so strongly.
How do you want, that's really good. It is very unbelievably exactly as you described it. How do you want to see the world? What's your vision for the world, and vision for how you want more people to be more like what way? How do you want to be? How do you want to be in the world? What's your vision for how you want to be?
So I think it's unrealistic to expect that we will all think the same. We won't. We never will. But I like to think that we could still respect one another at the end of the discussion, and feel like you can still run over to your neighbor's house and borrow a cup of sugar if you need to. And that's how we should be everywhere, but especially here in Idaho Falls. Like, we take care of each other. Barb, I can't remember if you were on the call when Paul Hackey stood up and said, listen, this hate has got to end. We're better than this. We're Idaho Falls. We're, D91 proud. And he really gave a very impassioned speech about, we've heard you, whether or not we agree with you, we've heard you, we've listened, and we have to make the best choices going forward. And basically his plea was for respect for one another. And And with that respect would come the absence of this anger and animosity towards one another. And I thought he really hit the nail on the head. Like, we're better than that, and we can do this. We may not agree, but can we just still get along in spite of it?
You're right. The thing I've always experienced that made America exceptional was that at the end of the day, we always put politics aside and still dealt with people, as Americans, right?
Yeah.
We always, oh, it's okay, we can believe different, and we always wanted the other person to feel okay believing something different, right? Until now.
One of the things that makes America great that is that in the face of tragedy, we rise up and we take care of each other. So when, you know, the 9/11 happened, you had people who said, I can't fix what's happening in New York or in Washington, D.C., but I can take care of my neighbor. And you saw this great patriotism, and this people were a kinder, gentler, more aware people of taking care of one another, and in the name of we're all Americans in the end. This tragedy may have happened in New York City, and I may live in Idaho, but I will take care of my neighbors. And when the Boston Marathon bombing happened, we have people immediately, instead of running away, they turn to run and take care of the wounded. And when hurricanes happen, we show up to clean up and to take food and to do what we can to help people as a nation. And I think that's one of the things that's been so tragic with this COVID is we have not had that pulling together and becoming a kinder, more humbler people. We've become very angry. And with that anger, people feel like it's okay to treat each other really rudely. And that needs to change because we're better than that.
Yeah. So then how do you, what's your vision for the world? How do you want people to be more like?
I want them to be more aware of one another and more respectful, even if we don't agree.
Yes, exactly. How have you seen Barbara personify, be like the kind of person that you want to be more like, and you want everyone else to be more like?
Well, I've seen her leadership in several different cases, but one, it is through understanding one another's needs and motivations and drives so that we can appeal to that and help them understand where we're coming from and have a meeting of the minds. Second of all, she is constantly pleading for people, you know, remember this, pray for this, like let's collectively pull all of our energies in all of our different ways. This is not just a political thing, but let's use the other tools and the other venues that we have as well, whether it's prayer, whether it's through community, whether it's through neighbors, like, but let's use all of those as a softening influence. And again, to understand where one another are coming from, but also to try to help make that persuasion successful for the cause that we're working towards. And then third, I've seen her reach out and try to be and build bridges with people who are either angry at her on social media or people who are saying things that are not true, but working very hard to build bridges to set the record straight and help there be calmness and understanding between the two different perspectives.
That's beautiful. Yes, that's how America used to be and how it can be again. Very good. So you have a chance now to share your vision for America and for people with people you know, with everyone you know. You can send this video, if you'd like, to people that you kind of know. But hey, I was interviewed in this cool podcast. I'd love to share with you. You know, it was really awesome. So let me know what you think. It's also a chance to then start a conversation with the person. It's a conversation starter. So then if you find someone, hey, you're pretty savvy, you're pretty, I'll nominate you to accept the challenge. and they can do exactly what you did. And they can then share, you can interview with them, and you can share your story with them, and they can share their story with you, and they can do it with their own 10 people. So you have a chance now to help people bring back the civility. And even you can even interview people that you disagree with, you know, and practice the kind of, maybe like, you know, independence. Maybe they're like my father, he used to be a diehard conservative, but he's living in Spokane, and I don't know, he just acclimated to, I think, the kind of people he was dating, you know, girls he was dating. I'm not sure what it was, but he kind of drifted, and, you know, and you know, he questions a lot of things, so he's been persuaded. So you can have a conversation with him and remind that person of their roots, what they really believe, and that's what we can do. So in a format like this, you have a chance to really have that conversation in a cool way that they can then, you know, build a more viral community where they can affect more people. And then you can share these talks you have with people and share what they don't know. And it's a great conversation starter, and a great way to be Paul Revere's and sharing important ideas. Because again, it's a conversation with you is 1,000 times better than a blog post. And even if you're typing it, you can type all this, but hearing your face and seeing your eyes light up in your face, it's 1,000 times better to hear your story. So there you go. So great job. It was wonderful talking with you and hearing your stories. Anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
No, I just, I'm very, I've always been so impressed with Barbara because she's one who's willing to reach out. The first time I met her, she had never, she didn't know who I was, but I could tell from talking with her that she was so genuine and again, passionate about defending the rights of people who she at the time she was running for election, and who she wanted to represent. And it's something that stuck with me through the years, so that then when I needed help, it was really easy to turn to her, because she didn't know me, but I had that experience to know that she was so genuine, and I could tell that she was someone who was willing to champion a cause, and she has proven that time and time again.
That's wonderful.
Wow,
Thanks
Jen.
so much. Thanks so much. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
All right.
Good talking to y'all.
Have a great
Thanks.
night.
Oh, Jen, that I appreciate that, because I know, especially as you say, in this kind of era right now, that's angry, you know, I try, but I mean, I'm not, at some point, you know, I get pushed and I push back, but it's not for lack of trying in the first place. You know, and maybe I call that pushing back standing up too. You know, sometimes it kind of gets to be a gray line, but I never start out mean or anything. I try to start out saying something. Anyway, I don't need to go on. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Great.
Okay.